Hi there, you must be thirsty if you're watching this, so stay with me and find out what's next on Susie's wine review channel, Fermenting News. I love to talk about weird and wonderful wines, kind of away from the mainstream, off the beaten track. So if we are on the same page, then please like, share and subscribe so you will get a notification of further trips to interesting wines, and also help to spread the love and to make sure that my videos reach more and more people every day. Thank you. Interested what's behind the label? Stay with me and find out. Fasten your seatbelt because we're going to Portugal. It's always nice to talk over a glass of wine, so let's do that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Look at the color. I found a new love. It's called Portugal. Last week I've done a Portuguese wine tasting and I have sort of reintroduced myself to beautiful wines of Portugal, and I just felt like I completely forgot how fantastic they are and how great value they are. It's not just all about port. There's fortified, deep colored wines from the Douro Valley, but there's a lot behind it. The country has a whole range of fascinating native grape varieties and all different sorts of wine styles. It is definitely one of the most underrated wine regions, wine countries in Europe. They always say Portuguese wines have a sense of place, and I think that's true. Their grape varieties are very unique and they are able to express the terroir really well. Portugal is secluded both geographically and politically from the rest of Europe, even from its neighbor Spain. It kind of evolved in isolation, and it does reflect in the grape varieties they use. They have around 248 indigenous grape varieties and only a handful of international grape varieties like Syrah, Petit Verdot and Cabernet Sauvignon have made it through the borders. So anything we have from Portugal are pretty unique. The Portuguese can rival the French and the Italians in terms of per capita wine consumption, but the financial crisis in 2007 and 2008 really pushed the winemakers to turn towards foreign markets, towards export. Portugal is home of remarkably diverse wines. If we think of the two neighboring regions, the Douro Valley and Vinho Verde, how different they are. Vinho Verde is this really fresh, green, fruity kind of style of wine with a slight spritz to it, and obviously the Douro Valley is full of these fortified, heavy, rich, ripe, oxidized style of wine, so they couldn't be more different from each other. Today I will talk about the 2013 Nostalgia, which has a beautiful label and also made of 100% Alvarinho, which is also known as Albarino on the other side of the border in Spain. So Vinho Verde is quite a large region in the northwest corner of Portugal. It has 9 subregions, and this wine is from Melgaço Monção subregion, right by the Spanish border, up north. The Alvarinho grapes come from the oldest vineyard. They are fermented traditionally. They're fermented in old French barriques, 10 barriques. That's why it says 10 barricas on the label. Now this fermentation method gives a lot of spice to the wine, slight oxygenation as well, which results in this beautiful marzipan and toasted almonds and hints of toast and vanilla on the nose and on the palate as well. And it has this lovely, rich, ripe fruit flavors like peaches, hints of pineapple, almost like a pina colada. And it's really remarkable that after so many years, after 7 years, the wine still has this lovely fresh acidity, touch of buttery texture. After fermentation finished, the wine was dragged off and spent 8 more months in old French barrels. Let's have a little taste. Great acidity, very rich, oaky flavors, nice touch of spice, touch of cloves and a bit of cinnamon as well there. As I mentioned, pina colada, so that it gives a bit richer mouthfeel to it as well. Really great toast. Marzipan is very dominant on the palate. Extremely complex wine, has a very long finish, which is also an indicator of high quality. What we need to know about Vinho Verde, it is not just a region, but it's also a style of wine. So it is a dramatically improving demarcated region. And most of the Vinho Verdes are really fresh, sort of has a green hue to it, a green rim in the glass. So it's very citrusy, green appley, and has a natural spritz to it because of the way it's made. So that's why this wine particularly is very unique, because it is very different from this. There's no spritz, there's no fresh green apple and lemons on the palate. It has a great balance between the ripe flavors and the lovely acidity, not too oily, not too heavy on the palate. In terms of the mouthfeel, it has a very fresh finish to it, but the flavors are definitely punchy, very pronounced, and really beautiful. Let's talk about the winemakers. So a project called Lua Cheia, which means full moon, was created in 2009. Between three winemakers who have established themselves in the Douro Valley for the past 20 years, before 2009, and they decided that they wanted to create this a project that has spread all over Portugal, that represents or produces the best of the best in Portugal. So they, even though they started off in the Douro Valley, they have expanded to Alentejano, which is right down south of the country, which is not a very friendly area for winemaking. It's very hot and very dry there, but there's some really, there's a few cooler areas that produces really great wines. Alentejano is also famous, it's mostly famous of its natural cork production. The Lua Cheia project made further investments in the Douro region of Portugal as well. So they have quite different areas all over Portugal, so they are able to produce a very different style of wines. And I have tasted 4 or 5 different wines of them, and I think I can say that it's really pretty good quality, very high quality. They still heavily based in Douro Valley though, so they have made several investments in the Douro Valley, and then of course other parts of Portugal, as I just mentioned earlier. This is a kind of wine that does need a bit of food to go with it, so I would suggest that to try this wine with obviously the local food, nice fresh seafood, prawns and crayfish perhaps. You can extend it to sort of prosciutto kind of style of ham, serrano ham as well, grilled fish, green olives, with feta cheese, maybe slightly or lightly smoked fish, or chicken breast perhaps, something slightly oily as well, because of the lovely acidity. It's just going to cut through that and really balance it out on your palate perfectly. Vinho Verde being a coastal region, it has a large influence from the Atlantic and the westerly winds that prevailing. Also a very cool and very wet region. It is not a surprise that the annual rainfall can reach 2,000 millimeter annually, while if you go to the Douro Valley it diminishes immediately, and it can get as low as 400 millimeters, so it's quite a lot of difference. The average annual temperature in Vinho Verde is around 10 Celsius, while if you go down south to, for example, Alentejo, then it is around 17.5 Celsius. Thank you for taking your time to watch my video. If you enjoyed it and you want to know about the next one, then subscribe here, or you can follow me on Instagram as well. Have a beautiful day.